Good morning and welcome to your favorite current affairs show. We are broadcasting the news making headlines across Africa. This is Africa Good Morning. My name is Aina Koyo and alongside me is Ashwin Mberi.
Absolutely, and I'm feeling fantastic. It's a good day. Why? Because today is NTV Day. Now, NTV is Namibia's newest television channel, bringing you the latest news, current affairs, sport, and entertainment from across the country and the wider African region. It's empowering and entertaining audiences across Africa. NTV enhances free-flowing information to a wide range of demographics and interest groups. Check this out.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. In our top stories, Uganda considers law requiring citizens to receive vaccinations. The Ugandan government has proposed a tough new law compelling Ugandans to get vaccinated or be fined an equivalent of $1,137 or be jailed for 6 months or both for refusal to comply. The proposal is contained in the Public Health Amendment Bill 2021 tabled before the Parliament in a plenary session that was chaired by the Deputy Speaker Anita Among. The bill is designed to help the government carry out mass vaccinations drives against life-threatening epidemics and pandemics such as COVID-19. If the bill does become a law, the government will scale up its drive to compel Ugandans to undertake mandatory vaccination exercises when announced or launched by the Ministry of Health.
Now, in our second story, UNICEF denounces torture of minors in prisons. UNICEF this Sunday denounced the conditions in which hundreds of children are in as prisoners of the Islamic State in northeast Syria. Although we now have some basic services, the situation of these children is incredibly precarious, says the United Nations Children's Fund, after its agents visited some of these prisons located in the Kurdish area outside of control of Damascus. The UN agency recognized the efforts of the local authorities to stabilize the situation inside and outside the prison, to take care and protect the minors, stating that they should never have been there. In a statement, the Syrian Democratic Forces said that UNICEF was the first organization to gain access to the prison and in particular to the facilities where the teens affiliated with the IS were being held.
In our next story, in Northern Korea, Malisile program is funded through stolen crypto, and this is according to the United Nations. North Korean cyber attacks have stolen millions of dollars worth of cryptocurrency to fund the country's Malisile program, says the UN. Between 2020 and mid-2021, cyber attackers stole more than $50 million of digital assets, investigators found. Such attacks are an important revenue source for the Yonggang's nuclear and ballistic missile programs, they said. The cyber attacks targeted at least 3 cryptocurrency exchanges in North America, Europe, and Asia. The report also referred to a study published last month that suggested North Korean cyber attacks could have netted as much as $400 million worth of digital assets last year.
Now, in Namibia, only 29 land summit resolutions implemented. Almost 5 years after the second National Land Conference, the Namibian government says it has only been able to successfully implement 29 of the 167 resolutions taken to turn around the country's land problems. The 2018 Land Conference was tasked with reviewing the progress made towards the implementation of the resolutions of the first National Land Conference in 1991. Issues of land ownership, complemented by factors such as ancestral land rights and restitution, the willing buyer, willing seller model, the expropriation of agricultural land in the public's interest, and the National Land Reform Program were among the topical discussions at the 2018 event. The event, which was attended by more than 800 delegates, cost the government more than $15 million. Now, the Minister of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, Carl Schlatwein, said the government is unable to implement some of the major resolutions because of unspecified legal impediments.
In our next story, in Tunisia, the top legal body has turned against the president. Tunisia has thrown into political turmoil after President Saïd said he was dissolving the country's main legal body. It is the latest in a series of moves which critics say are leading the country towards authoritarian rule. The head of Supreme Judicial Council called the move illegal and said it would continue working. The president accuses the judges of bias and corruption. Their places is not where they sit now, but where the accused stand, Mr. Saïd said of the council member in his speech announcing the decision. The council, however, said there was no legal framework to dissolve it. Its members vowed to continue holding their seats on the independent body, which was set up in 2016 to guarantee the judiciary's independence. President Saïd began strengthening his grip on power in July last year when he ousted the prime minister and froze parliament. He later moved to the rule by decree and has promised to rewrite the constitution. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
All right, let's get into the second half of our stories. Somali army kills 7 Al-Shabaab terrorists. The Somali National Army killed 7 Al-Shabaab terrorists in a security operation in the country's southern state of Jubaland on Sunday, local media reported. The special forces also destroyed the militant group's hideouts in 4 villages in the state. SNA commanders who led the operation told Radio Mogadishu. The commanders said they will not halt the operation until all terrorists are wiped out. Somalia has stepped up security operations against Al-Shabaab in the central and southern regions. However, the terrorist group still controls large swathes of rural areas where they ambushed military forces.
Malawi loses 30% of its electricity to tropical storm Anna. As efforts to assess the impact of last month's tropical storm Anna in Malawi continue, the country's only power generating company says it has lost about a third of its generating capacity to the storm. Meanwhile, the government has appealed to donors to contribute towards the cost of rehabilitating the station, which it says is beyond its financial capacity. Officials at the electricity generation company says Malawi has lost about 130 megawatts following the shutdown of its Kapachira power station in the Chikwara district due to last month's tropical storm Anna. William Liabunya, the electricity generation company's chief executive officer, said that they have lost the dam because the control mechanism that they had to take the water to the intake of the machines has been destroyed. On the dam wall, you have seen that now the water is passing through the dam wall, and therefore we cannot hold the water at the dam, and through that we cannot generate any electricity.
Now we swing over to Mozambique as terrorists attack Matemo Island. Islamist terrorists murdered at least 2 people in an attack against the island of Matemo off the coast of the northern Mozambican province of Cabo Delgado, according to a report. The attackers reached the island by boat in the early evening. Throughout the night, they burnt down houses and looted the shops of local traders as well as the Matemo Healthcare Center. They stole food and medicines and 6 outboard motorboats. The terrorists abandoned the island the following morning when helicopters of the Mozambican Defense and Security Forces appeared above Matemo. The boat on which the terrorists arrived, the Wasafi, did not make it back to the mainland. According to a second news sheet, Mediafax, the government forces seized it with stolen goods on board and took it to the provincial capital, Pemba. The terrorists left messages behind, scribbled on the walls. One written in Swahili said, "Don't ask who they are. I am a soldier of God."
African Union postpones debate on Israel's observer status. The African Union has suspended a debate on whether to withdraw Israel's accreditation as an observer to the bloc, avoiding a vote that risks creating an unprecedented rift in the 55-member body. As the summit opened in Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa, Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh urged African leaders to withdraw the accreditation, saying Israel should and must never be rewarded for its violation and for the apartheid regime it imposes on the Palestinian people. The AU's newly elected chairman, Macky Sall, said there was an agreement to postpone the vote until the next summit in 2023. The issue can divide us. Africa cannot be divided, he told reporters, saying such a development would result in a fragile institution that may not effectively tackle major issues. He added that a committee has been set up with the goal of consulting with member states and building a consensus on the matter.
Now, in the last of our top stories, Tanzania, Uganda elected to AU's Peace and Security Council. Tanzania and Uganda have been elected to be members of the African Union's Peace and Security Council, a 15-member organ comprised of member states from each of the 5 regions of the bloc, which is in the African Union standing decision-making body for the prevention, management, and resolution of conflicts on the continent. The council voted at the bloc's 40th ordinary session of its executive council that was held in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa. Uganda obtained 34 votes in the 3rd round of voting in a race that also attracted the United Republic of Tanzania and the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. Uganda has been elected for a 2-year term from 2022 to 2024 and will be joined by Tanzania and Djibouti as the representatives of the Eastern region, Uganda's Foreign Affairs Ministry said in a statement. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. After the break, geologist Dr. Roy Miller will be talking about the risk imposed by in situ leaching. Stick around. Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. Dr. Roy Miller,
who for many years has led the surveying department of the Ministry of Mines and Energy, is a highly rated geologist. Today he talks about the risk posed by in situ leaching and proposed process for extracting uranium in the Temperate Artesian Basin. And here is what he had to say.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Now in studio today we have Dr. Roy Miller, who for many years led the surveying department of the Ministry of Mines and Energy. Now Dr. Miller is a highly rated geologist, and as he has previously put it at a public gathering in Stampriet, I am not against mining. That is something, after all, I promoted for many years. But I cannot and will not agree that the process of mining puts a community's drinking water at risk and poses a huge risk for the local farming community. We brought him in to talk about the risk posed by in situ leaching, a process that has been proposed for the purpose of extracting uranium in the Temperate Artesian Basin. Welcome, Dr. Miller.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you here. Sir, could you please give us a short background on this project and what it entails?
The Temperate Artesian Basin is a huge farming area, and they get all their water from the underground. So the people and the animals and the economy depends on that underground water. Now, there are several sandstone aquifers, one above the other, and that water comes from those sandstone aquifers. Recent exploration in the basin has discovered uranium in the sandstones, in other words, in the layers that carry the drinking water. The only way that that can be mined is by pumping acid down into the ore body, dissolving the uranium, and it also dissolves heavy metals that get deposited with the uranium. And that then gets pumped up to surface. In a surface plant, the uranium is removed, the heavy metals are not, and that same water, they add a little bit of acid and pump it down again. And then they pump it out again, and this recycling can go on for 100 times or more and can last 5 years.
My goodness.
What it does, it dissolves the uranium, and that uranium is high grade, is high concentration dissolved uranium in the drinking water. And the problem is that it can escape into the rest of the aquifer. And that is the danger.
All right, and speaking of the danger, where do you identify the danger affects not only us as Namibian citizens, but also neighboring states like Botswana and South Africa?
Well, the basin continues into Botswana and South Africa, and the same aquifer sandstones, the same water is pumped there as well. And at the moment, exploration licenses for uranium cover 57.7% of the surface of the basin. It is a huge area, and that's 3.48 million hectares. It is massive. The other thing about in situ leaching, the boreholes that they use to pump the acid in and pump it out are between 20 and 40 meters apart. And in other parts of the world, there are huge arrays of boreholes, thousands of boreholes. So the chances of leakage of dissolved uranium in the drinking water into the rest of the aquifer and into aquifers above and below is, unfortunately, is there, cannot be avoided.
All right, so looking at all of this from a broad perspective, what would you suggest the government does?
Right, there are three things. The government is responsible for preserving a critical, permanent resource. That resource is the lifeblood of the people, the animals, and the economy of that region. The government is also responsible for ensuring the health and safety of its people. And that is far, far more important than short-term profits from mining. And finally, the government needs to cancel the exploration licenses for uranium, needs to cancel all the drilling permits issued to mining companies in the basin, and to prevent any future mining in the Stampriet Artesian Basin.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Miller, for joining us and sharing your expertise and, of course, disseminating that important information.
It's a pleasure.
All right. I was just talking to Dr. Roy Miller, and he's talking about the in-situ leaching, a process that has been proposed for the purpose of extracting uranium in the Stampriet Artesian Basin. And of course, you are not in support of this, and understandably so, if you're paying attention to all the facts that the doctor just laid out. This is Africa Good Morning, bringing you news in the morning just as it is. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. Now, since its establishment in 2006, Namibian Ship and Rig Repair and Maintenance Company, NAMDOC, has grown from a small single vessel repairer locally to a key stakeholder of multinational rig repair and maintenance along Africa's west coast, and they are growing even beyond that. With SADC member states agreed to ease travel and visa restrictions, NAMDOC is poised to expand its services to existing and prospecting clients on the continent. Now, Erongo 24/7 spoke to NAMDOC's marketing executive, Quintin Simon, about their plans to grow beyond Namibia's borders. Have a look.
Good morning, Africa. My name is Adam Hartman for Namibia Media Holdings. I recently spoke to Quintin Simon of NAMDOC, which is Namibia's largest privately owned maritime engineering company. The company's plans to go beyond Namibia's borders and become a key stakeholder in the international oil and gas industry, especially when it comes to rig repair and maintenance along the western coast of Africa, where there is a growing interest in oil and gas prospecting and discoveries. So although Namibia is a very small country population-wise on the southwest Africa, with NAMDOC, it has big plans to become a global player in a very lucrative industry.
NAMDOC was established in 2006. NAMDOC is a turnkey engineering solution for the maritime industry, upstream and downstream. We repair anything that actually floats and does not float. We also do land-based engineering for the likes of the mines and fabrications and all that type of things for the West African maritime industry as well. So we fabricate in Namibia and then we ship it up to the rest of West Africa. And we always look at how we can diversify, how we can bring our service offering closer to our clients. Into West Africa, it's a bit more complicated due to travel restrictions, but also with the SADC agreements that's being made by several African countries, or the whole Africa actually, it will make travel much easier, it will make visa restrictions much easier, so it will make it easier for NAMDOC then to expand our service offering to our clients to the rest of West Africa. In 2006, we brought our first floating dock in, which is ironically named NAMDOC number 1. And from there we increased our fleet to 3 floating docks with a lifting capacity of over 480 meters. And since 2006 we also established us as a key player within the rig repair industry. We have done several types of rig repairs, conversion projects. So just on an aspect from the sizes of projects that we have started with, where we started with small 1 vessels up to rig repair projects of 75 to 95 days. We had on the Sickness 701 back in 2009, we had a total of 2,000 employees on site doing projects like this. So yeah, it's been, and the technology advancements that we have had. NAMDOC is always looking in to be the leader in the market when it comes to how effective and efficient we are pertaining to the service offering that we offer. Because all our clients is charter based or is operational based, so that each time they're out of operation they lose money. So the quicker we turn their vessels around at a high quality, the better for them, because they can start earning money again. So all these technology advancements, we look at them, how we can improve that, and how to improve our quality, like I said, how to improve our turnaround time. We are the single biggest privately owned shipyard on the west coast of Africa. So it is, like I said, we are the flagship for Africa when it comes to the marine repair industry. And 95% of our clients is internationally based, which is operating in the whole West Africa, all the way from Nigeria down to South Africa. So we are a key stakeholder and service provider to these marine assets to assure that they stay in operations, make sure that they don't have to sail to the rest of to Europe and Americas and the Chinas of this world, and have a service offering right here at home, as we call it. And make sure that our operations, our marine operations, stays active, because we all understand how massive the marine operation side of things is in a trading aspect, in an oil and gas trading aspect and operational aspect. So yeah, we are here to service our clients. We are here to assure that we stay and remain the leader on the west coast of Africa, and also enhance technology-wise, enhance skill-wise, not just for the Walvis Bay market, but also to advance and uplift the skill and level of skill for the rest of the West African market, because the people that work with us is internationally certified. You can take them from Walvis Bay and put them in New York or in any shipyard in the world, and they will be able to do a job that guys are doing there. That's the level they are trained at, and that's the level of execution that they do. So that provides and showcases that Africa has the capacity, and then the rest of the world can see it and then can bring foreign investment to other African countries and develop this type of sector. And when it comes to rig repair industry or rig industry in Namibia, it's a substantial industry. There's a lot of rigs. I think currently there's 138 rigs active in West Africa. And all of them is like a ship. They need to be repaired and maintained each and every 5 to 10 years for the maintenance periods, what we call intermediate or surveys. So yes, it's a massive industry, and we are, as NAMDOC, trying to tap into that market again. We had 2 rigs here from Sapura Drilling from Singapore. We're currently in negotiation discussions with several other rig companies in order to bring the rigs down here, because it's substantial. It's a very short turnaround period when it comes to these projects, but it's also very high value projects, and it's not just the high value projects for the likes of NAMDOC and NAMPort, because we utilize NAMPort's fantastic infrastructure, there's like quaysides and all that type of things, but all the rest for the town. We believe for each and every dollar that gets spent with NAMDOC, when we have projects like that, about $2.5 to $3 gets spent within the town of Walvis Bay. So work-wise, economic-wise, it's a substantial injection into the economy, and that's why we are pursuing that very, very aggressively in order to bring these rigs back to Walvis Bay. We are looking in all, like always, in increasing, like I said, our infrastructure, our service offering, how we can complete the value chain when it comes to our service to our clients, And then, of course, expanding our footprint into Africa, taking the Namdog brand into the rest of West Africa or the east coast of Africa. So all know what's happening in Mozambique, pertaining to the LNG that they found there. Guyana, what's happening there. There's a lot of needs and wants when it comes to our clients in the rest of West Africa because of the high quality service that we provide and at the cost that we can provide it to our clients.
Kudos to you and your expansion in Namdok. Now, some of those images reminded me of the exact kind of weather that I love to see. So I'll be keeping my fingers crossed as we check out the weather forecast up next.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning, and thank you very much for choosing us. Now, in Zimbabwe, teachers are striking ahead of the schools reopening. Now, Talent Gore has this story and more. Good morning, Talent. Please give us an update on Zimbabwe.
Good morning, Aina. Good morning, Africa. So yesterday, carriers characterized the opening of the first term yesterday as school children at different learning institutions in the country were sent back home after teachers and school heads failed to report for duty, citing incapacitation. Apparently, teachers are demanding to have their monthly salaries restored to 2018 levels, where they were earning 540 United States dollars. Apparently, at the moment, teachers are earning an average of 21,000 Zimbabwean dollars, which is about 180 United States dollars at the official bank rate, or 90 USD at the black market rate. So yesterday, a survey which we conducted revealed that school children were actually playing outside. They were not inside their school gates. They were found on the streets. They were playing at the school grounds, and they were saying that the teachers were not teaching, and some of them, they were actually at the school premises, but they told the children that they were not going to be teaching them, and some of them were actually not available. So apparently at that particular moment, some of the children are actually going back home because there was not much that was being done at the schools.
All right, please take us into your next two stories, Talent.
So Zimbabwe is on high alert for a possible incursion of the avian influenza following recent confirmation by the Department of Veterinary Services of Namibia of an outbreak of high pathogenic avian influenza in wild migratory birds. So the country has intensified vigilance during inspections at all border control ports for poultry and poultry products. Zimbabwe is also communicating with SADC and veterinary counterparts to coordinate disease control measures. Last year, South Africa and Botswana both reported outbreaks of the same strain of the avian influenza. So at the moment, Zimbabwe is doing everything that they can to make sure that we don't have that disease in the country. So there are a number of mitigatory measures that they have put in place to make sure that we do not have that outbreak. And my last story, government has moved to scrap foreign currency duty payments on vehicle imports alongside other measures it claimed was aimed at enhancing the the wider use of the Zimbabwean dollar. In a statement, Finance Minister Mthuli Ncube said that the measures were being introduced following a stopgap measure to arrest inflation and promote the local currency. Professor Ncube said that all mining royalties were now payable in Zimbabwean dollars up to a limit of 50% of royalties due, and all duties and taxes on the importation of designated motor vehicles are now payable in Zimbabwean dollars, again up to a limit of 50%. Before that, before this new law that has been put in place, Zimbabweans are actually paying 80% of the import duty in United States dollars. In some projects, we're actually being paid in full with United States dollars. So now they're now paying 50% in United States dollars and 50% in Zimbabwean dollars on all import duties.
All right. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news stories from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa Good Morning as we continue to decentralize African news. Now, after the break, we'll be talking about how Angola is one of the top 10 best African countries to invest in. That will, of course, be in our economic news. So stick around.
We lose ourselves in the spirit of things. We lose our sight when we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away. Yet we keep coming back, 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 keep coming back. Coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back.
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. As I just highlighted, Angola is among the 10 best African countries to invest in. Business Insider places Angola in actually 9th position ahead of Cote d'Ivoire. The list is headed by Nigeria, followed successively by Egypt, South Africa, Algeria, and Morocco. In 6th, 7th, and 8th positions are Kenya, Ethiopia, and Ghana. Regarding Angola, the report highlights the fact that the country is rich in resources such as oil and gas and has arable land. Angola's investment risks and opportunities report suggests that the country is the second largest oil producer in Africa. According to statistics, Angola has a GDP of $66.49 billion US. Trading Economics predicted that the country's GDP could exceed $100 billion by 2022. It says, for the growth of the GDP of Angola, trade, transport, storage, construction, and fishing contribute to have been highlighted. It is these sectors which are said to represent growth opportunities for investors.
In our next story, trade barriers still a tough nut to crack for EAC. Removal of trade barriers, tariff and no tariff remains a challenge within the East African Community bloc despite policy intervention. The barriers have not only impacted on cross-border trade among 6 partner states but hindered intra-regional investment flow. This emerged last week during a public-private dialogue for business stakeholders at the Mutukula border crossing between Tanzania and Uganda. They said although there has been a rise of trade between Tanzania and Uganda, statistics could have been higher if there were no barriers. Trade records at the Mukutala one-stop border post indicate that Tanzania exported goods worth of 743.6 million in 2020. Imports in the neighboring country stood at 95.1 million during a period under review.
In our next story, President Nyusi inaugurates power grid in Nkumpe, Namuno. Mozambique's President Filipe Nyusi inaugurated an electricity grid system in the administrative post of Nkumpe in Namuno District, Cabo Delgado Province, an infrastructure budgeted at over 1.2 million euros. The commitment to energy for all is an imperative of my government in the ambition to provide the country with the necessary conditions for development, Filipe Nyusi said during the inauguration of the infrastructure. The project includes a network of 60 kilometers of medium voltage and 30 kilometers of low voltage lines, as well as the installation of 12 transformation posts at the headquarters of the administrative post, located 281 kilometers from the provincial capital. For Filipe Nyusi, the new infrastructure will boost the growth of that administrative post, boosting the value chain of productive sectors and strengthening the efficiency of state services, especially health units.
In Kenya, 3 solar energy providers get CCISA funding. In Kenya, 3 suppliers of solar energy for productive use will be supported by the Clean Captive Installations for Industrial Clients in Sub-Saharan Africa program. This initiative is implemented by the United Nations Environmental Program to provide clean energy to industrial and commercial customers. As in most African countries, solar energy is gaining momentum in Kenya. The United Nations Environment Program intends to rely on this clean source to provide electricity to local businesses. It is in this context that the organization has launched a challenge in connection with its Clean Captive Installations for Industrial Clients in Sub-Saharan Africa program. The program has selected 3 companies specializing in solar energy for productive use.
All right, that brings us to the end of our economic news stories. After the break, we're going to be talking about AFCON and how Mendy has been awarded the Best Goalkeeper Award. Of course, that and more sports stories. But before that, economic indicators. Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. Let's get into your sports news stories. Now, as I just highlighted, Mendy bags Best Goalkeeper Award after AFCON 2021 win. Senegal beat Egypt 4-2 on penalties after a hard-fought 0-0 draw to seal their first ever Africa Cup of Nations. It was billed as a big clash between Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah, and in the end, Mane took the headlines, but the secret power behind the throne of King Sadio was his goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy. Mane scored the winning penalty against Egypt to ensure Senegal won their first AFCON. However, after the conclusion of the 2021 AFCON, Mane was named player of the tournament after leading the Teranga Lions to their first ever AFCON title on Sunday. Mendy won the Best Goalkeeper award as the Chelsea shot stopper conceded only 2 goals during 21 AFCON and blocked a penalty in the shootout against Egypt.
UK and the Republic of Ireland FAs abandoned 2030 bid to focus on Euro 2028. The UK and the Republic of Ireland football associations have agreed not to bid for the 2030 World Cup. They will instead focus on a joint bid to host Euro 2028. The decision comes after the UK government committed 2.8 million to a feasibility study into the bid. Digital, Culture, Media and Sports Committee Chairman Julian Knight had previously described the prospective World Cup bid as a giant, expensive vanity project. The feasibility study included an analysis of economic impact, the political football landscape, and the likely cost of hosting major international tournaments. Following the study, the Football Association of the Republic of Ireland, England, North Ireland, Wales and Scotland will focus on official bid to host UEFA Euro 2028.
All right, let's swing over to some rugby news as Lions centre pairing in talks with overseas clubs. Lions centres Wandisile Simelane and Berger Ordendal are reportedly in high demand in Europe. According to Rapport, Simelane is in advanced talks with top 14 giants Toulon, while Ordendal is believed to be in negotiations with English Premiership side Wasps. Simelane's agent Dane Galley told the Afrikaans publication that no final career decision has yet been taken over the former junior Springbok. Wandi has another contract with the Lions. He has not yet decided where his next move will be. Ordendal, who took over the Lions captaincy after Elton Yantis left for Japan, is under contract until October and would require an agreement with the Johannesburg franchise if he wishes to depart earlier. Toulon have Springboks Eben Etzbeth and Cheslin Kobe on their books, while Wasps have former Lions coach John Mitchell on their coaching staff. South African players on Wasps' books are loose forward Nizam Khan, scrum half Francois Hochard and prop Peter Schultz.
In our next story, age is just a number, says speed skater Irene Vashti after making Olympic history. Does speed skater Irene Vashti says she is really happy after becoming the first athlete to win an individual gold medal in 5 separate Olympics. The 35-year-old was victorious in the women's 1,500-meter speed skating event on Monday, but still remembers her first gold medal from 2006. In Torino, I won my first Olympic title. I was the youngest back then at the age of 19. To do it again 4, 8 and 12 years later is just bizarre, she said. There is something magical that gets to me when it comes down to the games. There is something at the games that brings out the best in me.
Love to see it, and she's truly incredible. I can barely put my feet in the snow, but that's mostly because I live in Africa. Those were our sports news stories. After the break, your highlights. Every single weekday, Africa Good Morning streams live from 7 a.m., bringing you the most pertinent stories in the African continent and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our top stories at the top of the hour, worry not. Here are some of the headlines. Uganda considers law requiring citizens to receive vaccinations. UNICEF denounces torture of minors in prisons. North Korea missile program funded through stolen crypto, UN report says. Only 29 land summit resolutions implemented in Namibia. Top legal body turns against president in Tunisia. Angola among the 10 best African countries to invest. Mendy bags Best Goalkeeper Award after AFCON 2021 win. Those have been our stories.
Thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Africa Good Morning. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. That's at Africa Good Morning. We also have a website. It's called One Up 2. Please do visit us. And today, remember, we are launching our new TV channel. It's called the NTV, and we are so excited. On that note, it's all my love, all my light.
Happy NTV Day.